Valspar Ultra starts at just $29.98 a gallon. So we've got you covered when your daughter wants to paint her room again, after last year's masterpiece of a unicorn mural.
Dad, please.
Or when you realize that maybe you went too hard on the grayish.
I miss color.
Or when you were sure you wanted a home gym, but your elliptical is currently hanging your laundry.
What about a home office?
Shop everything you need for your next phase with Valspar. Available at Lowe's. Price varies by Shein.
My name is Amanda. I work with women who are trying to quit smoking, and I have some tips for you in case you're pregnant or thinking about having a baby. First thing is, keep trying to quit, or better yet, don't start smoking. It can cause premature birth, which can then increase the risk of your baby having developmental delays, problems with eyesight, breathing, and more. So don't give up. There are people like me who are here to support you, because I know what can happen if you don't quit. Your baby could be born 2 months early and weigh only 3 pounds. She could be in the NICU for almost a month, put in an incubator and fed through a feeding tube that goes through her nose down into her little stomach. I know that because I smoked while I was pregnant, and that's what happened to my little baby. I quit. You can too.
Quit your way. Call 1-877-YOU-CAN-NOW or visit tobaccofreeflorida.com. Developed by CDC.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to Blog Talk Radio. This is The Wellness Coach. I'm your host, Edie Summers, and I am more than delighted to have the Honorable Susan Larison Danz as my first guest today. Susan is, she's been described as a talented and powerful writer, a sacred activist. Susan is actively engaged in completing her upcoming books, The Prophetess Legacy, Feminine Voices of the Divine, and The Frontier Beyond Fear. Her online forum posts under the pseudonym BridgeBuilder on the thought-provoking, spiritual, philosophical, and political topics have been highlighted as top posts multiple times via reader popularity on the Oprah website, attracting some 15,000 to 25,000 views. So not too shabby, Susan. And she is actually a leader in the spiritual communities. We're extremely lucky to have her here today. She's no longer hesitant to be shy about sharing her authentic voice. Susan actually is the hostess of the Frontier Beyond Fear radio show right here on Blog Talk Radio. I encourage you to check it out. There's so much that she has to offer and share, and she also regularly presents seminars in the spiritual community. Susan has a diverse educational and professional background, balancing science and humanities. She combines logic and reason with spiritual depth and intuition in her writing, research, and presentations. She is a Betcher Scholar and a member of Phi Beta Kappa and a published ACM author with degrees in mathematics and computer science. And after working 20-plus years in the corporate world as an engineering project manager, software developer, technical writer, corporate communicator, and mentor, Susan is currently director of Lighted Bridge Communications, a company she founded in January 2009 to build synchronistic bridges for rising stars in the inspirational community. When not engaged in multidimensional multitasking as a mom, entrepreneur, webmaster, author, and volunteer in her community, Susan spends time appreciating the serenity of her surroundings in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Susan, I am so grateful to have you here today. Welcome to the Wellness Coach. How are you, Susan?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, Edie. I'm really happy to be here with you. And my goodness, just hearing all of that, I wonder how I managed to find the time sometimes It's interesting where life takes us. That's all I can say. There are just so many diverse paths that I have found myself going down.
But that's what I love about you, Susan. I just, I even love kind of some other description. You're a teacher, a beyond-the-box researcher, a business owner, a computer scientist, a synergist, a mystic, and most importantly, perhaps, a mom. And I think it is, we were kind of talking a little bit earlier about, finding balance in all of these things that all of us do, so sort of all the hats that we wear, and yet where do we find the balance in all of that, and especially when it comes to our health, because it's such an intimate and I think even spiritual practice, taking care of ourselves. And I'm wondering what your experience has been like that with everything that is going on for you, and especially when you've sort of, you're going down you've been going down this entire new path now for a while, and I'm just wondering what that experience is like for you.
Well, I have to say that when you're not in balance, when you're on a path that is imbalanced, you know it. Deep in your heart, you know that something's not right on that path. And I think in my case, I started out life with a lot of ambitions, and I wasn't even really sure what I wanted to do when I started out, and somehow managed to get into the new field of computer science. Honestly, when I started, I thought I wanted to be a writer. But then I had people counsel me who said, you got to keep a roof over your head. Why don't you try computer science? And so I actually discovered that field needed balance, where it needed a certain injection of creativity. And so I always took that approach towards it, like the human-computer interactions side, or the project leadership side, where you're trying to pull people together. And so, and then something that happened to me early on is I ended up, after I had my son, I moved away from Oregon for a while because I was working out here in Oregon, and I was able to become a telecommuter, which was a huge gift. What a gift of balance that was for me. And so I had the best of both worlds, where I had this project that I had been in charge of for a while, and I was able to take care of it from Kansas, of all places. So that experience, it taught me that a lot of times, if we are open to it, and back then I don't know how consciously open I was, as I'm much more accepting now, but sometimes what may even seem like a setback, or you don't know how it's going to go, turns out to be the greatest gift of all, and it really was a gift. And there came a time. Yeah, there came a time when I came back to the office and was working in the office. I came back to Oregon, and that actually, although a lot of good things were going on, it was too much, and I was feeling out of balance. I was feeling like I was working too many long hours, and I wasn't with my son as much as I wanted to be. And, things just all set up, and it conspired in a way in my life, circumstances, to bring me back to home so that I could pursue my passion full time, which is what I'm doing now and have been doing for 3 years.
I love that, Susan, how it all kind of comes full circle, and yet kind of our experiences add to the dimensionality of where we are now. We couldn't be where we are without those experiences, and I love that you've been a computer scientist, and now you're a leader in the spiritual community. I'm fascinated by that. I think they're actually much more related than people might think. I'm kind of, and we were kind of talking about that too. I actually noticed we have a caller on the line. I don't know if you want to take a call right now, or if you wanted to go a little more. I definitely just wanted to let you know, caller, that I see you there, so we'll get to you soon.
I'm happy to talk to whoever.
You want to talk to? Okay, well, let's take the call, and then
feel.
Great. Caller with the area code 804, you're on the line. What is your question?
Hi, good evening, ladies. My name is Hugh. I'm calling from Virginia. I'm spirit-led to things, and this is absolutely amazing because I have a big mission and vision of bringing spirituality into global economics and combining it with unconditional love. And I look for all business in the future to be done from corporate websites. You'll either make or break yourself by providing excellent products and services, but in addition, being good to your employees, the customers, the environment, and the community. Otherwise, they're not going to be around long in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Did you have anything that you wanted to say to that, Susan?
Well, I think that we're finding that the old business models, they don't work anymore. In fact, that's kind of what ultimately led me out of the corporate world. It was the models that are out there that don't completely empower employees, where they're not as collaborative as perhaps they should be. They're gradually falling by the wayside. So I feel like we are moving into a time where more and more people are becoming more independent and then figuring out ways to collaborate with one another. And the economy has actually caused that. So I do see that.
Definitely. I do too. And what was your name? Is it Hugh? How do you spell your name?
Hugh, H-U-G-H. Yes,
Hugh.
And collaborative is the operative word for the future. The technologies are in place where control was in place before. Now, an individual overnight can function the same as one of these multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations. They may not have the resources, but through the technologies, they can empower themselves and just network and have like 200 companies, maybe 10% in each of them, and they'll be blessing people all over the place.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with you. Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think collaboration is the future, and I think it kind of ties into everything, combining spirituality and science and collaboration and networking. It's crucial, I think, in the business world. A lot of people are finding out, maybe the easy way, or we've just found out through default, and I think that also kind of humanizing the workforce on all levels. I mean, I know I've experienced that in terms of corporate wellness. That's the kind of the first area that corporations were the first ones to kind of bring on the idea of, how does wellness affect our workers, and how can we, sort of humanize everyone. And I think there's so many different ways that business is changing, and we as human beings and as souls, we're all, it's so fascinating to watch this shift to me. Just go ahead, Susan. I know you were going to say something.
It is true. Oh, no, this is a wonderful three-way conversation. I think it's great. I think that, as you say, with the corporate wellness, if an organization does not respect and enhance the wellness and the emotional well-being of their employees, both physical and emotional, they aren't going to succeed for very long. The old model of a sweatshop, which actually those do exist, even in the computer science realm, by the way, is notorious for, especially in the past, and they do exist even now for incredibly long hours and basically burning people out. Early in my career, I worked all the time, and yet I kind of liked what I was doing. I was single, and there are still people who are like that. And what's funny is I actually work a lot now, but it's different because nobody is telling. It's not this same oppressive business model. I think that companies are recognizing that in order to at a higher level, they may not see this consciously, but I'll say in order to survive in the new energy on this planet, and they may not see that, but in order to survive at all, they have to recognize and respect their employees. They can't have an oppressive approach to leadership.
It's kind of, and I think what reminds me of this a little bit, this is also kind of the internet, isn't that kind of like the great, it kind of evens out the playing field, and I think this is sort of related to the corporate culture, that playing field has to be evened out because, again, when you're talking about a sweatshop environment, you can't demand, so much from people and expect so little, and give them so little. I think bringing the human soul into the corporate world, I think, is what's gonna to save it really, and make it thrive really.
It's all part of the shift. What I like to think of as the shift, the quantum leap that we're in the midst of, is that we're changing the way that we relate to each other in business. And I think it's getting to the point where, they say this with young people now, that they're less willing to tolerate that kind of situation. And it puzzles some of the corporations who have been used to the old models. They'll bring on young people who are unwilling to sacrifice everything in a sweatshop type environment, because I believe they're already embracing the new energy. It's about personal empowerment, collaboration, being of service to each other. And small business owners like what I'm doing, those of us in the conscious business climate, we look at this as how can we be of service to each other and co-create abundance. It's not about greed either. That's the other aspect. It's not about making money at all costs. It's about being of service while still keeping that in balance, energetic balance, with recognizing we can co-create abundance and support each other.
I love that, Susan. I love that about creating energetic balance, and I appreciate, Hugh, so much that you kind of bringing up this topic of conversation. And I wish we had more than half an hour. I may have to upgrade here shortly. We actually have another caller. We have another caller. Thank you so much, Hugh, for your comments. And thank you, Hugh.
If I can interject two quick things.
Sure.
A blog that may be of interest, creativity777.com, and a social entrepreneur. If you just Google World Clothesline, she's doing an excellent job.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Hugh. And looks like thank you so much for your comments. And, it looks like we lost our other caller. Sorry about that, whoever was waiting.
They may come back.
They may come back. Please come back, whoever was on hold there. I think what you were saying, Susan, about the energetic balance is just it just on so many levels that is changing the playing field. And I'm just kind of wondering, on a personal level, how does that energetic balance for you play out? What has been your experience with that? Because I know that we were kind of talking about balancing health and work and spirituality and science and also I know that you're an expert in the field of fear. Like, how do you kind of moving beyond that fear? Because I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. Whether it's our health issues or health habits, or kind of, shifting the paradigm in our relationships or at work, there's this cloud of fear, whether or not we want to acknowledge it, that I think a lot of us, whether it's an unconscious thing or not, I think sort of hangs in the balance as well. And I'm wondering how you've dealt with that in terms of shifting your own energetic balance.
Well, to be honest with you, fear and I have had a very long-term relationship, and it hasn't always been a good one. When I was younger, I was a much different person, I have to say. I was much more anxious. I was very perfectionistic. I'm sure that helped me in the fields to some degree, being a perfectionist. But in terms of how I felt about life, I also had this burden of a religious dogma that was not resonating with me, and so I was very conflicted spiritually. I had no spiritual anchor, and when I thought about spirituality, I was often afraid, because I thought, what if what they said was about the end times, or, I have to believe a certain way, or hell, what if that's true, and what if I don't believe the right way? So I had a lot of doubts. And then just in my personal life, I had anxiety that I was dealing with. And I have to say it took a health crisis for me many years later. I had kind of, and I know health crises, I tell you, although they're challenging at the time, they can be gifts, and I know you know that through your own work. And I was not prepared to deal with it emotionally, quite honestly. Thankfully, it was not super long-term, although it did lead to a time of turmoil for me because, basically I came face-to-face with my own mortality at about the age of 38, and this led me into real spiritual turmoil. I asked the universe to show me the way. Ultimately, it led me to that question, and I realized I couldn't ignore my spiritual life any longer. And once I did that, things started to open up. But even then, it took a while. It took years. I mean, I don't mean to. Everybody's on their own journey, and I'm still on that journey. For me, and thankfully, all those issues that I had with my health, and I went through a period where there were some times there, I don't know, I guess it was about, we're talking maybe 10 years ago now. It's been so long now, but I certainly went through some times where I didn't have any energy at all. Some of this led to more depression, which made it even worse, of course, when you react in that way. And, it took me a while to get out of that. And probably 30 minutes or the 10 minutes we have left, there's no way it's enough to talk about it. But there was a time when I made the conscious choice to shift. I mean, I think that's really it. I didn't really know what shift was, but I made a conscious choice to change. And when that happened, it started to ramp up. And then I got to the point now, now I have so much energy. I really do. Although there are things I could be doing even now to help with my health. I could be exercising more as a wellness coach. I could probably be eating better, although I become ever more conscious of that. I could be meditating more, which I'm not doing that enough. But the fascinating thing is nowadays I just can't wait to be doing the work that I'm engaged in. I've got all these different projects, whether I'm writing or researching or, through my business, and I wake up in the morning and I am just ready to go. And, and I go. I can literally put in an incredibly long day and fit in mom things too, because I do take time for that, and still have energy. And I don't know where it's coming from. I mean, that's the amazing thing is where is this energy coming from?
You know what, and I think that is a huge part of what health is tapping into that. I mean, they say, whoever they is, that theoretically we have enough energy in our bodies to light up the entire United States for a week, I think, is theoretically what we're supposed to have. So it sounds to me, and I think, kind of tapping into that universal life force kind of sounds to me like that's what you've done. Regardless of, we're all works in progress, right? So, you talk about, wanting to,
right, and I want to make that clear. Well, I put out a lot of affirmations, for example, on my, one of the things that's so funny about me is that I'll put out affirmations on Twitter or on Facebook, and sometimes when you do that, it makes it sound like, I have all the answers and here they are for you. But the funny thing is that's the universe or my higher self sharing those things with me just to keep me going. I mean, I have my times when I need to be reminded I'm still on a journey. It's a moment-by-moment thing, but I do know, without a doubt, I have more energy now to be doing all the things that I'm doing and more passion and just such joy in accomplishing different things for different people. The fact that I'm supporting various people in the inspirational community and it feels so right that it does give me a lot more energy.
It kind of sounds, kind of a new theory I came up with is that, it's definitely important to feed your body, but I think more importantly is to feed your soul. Whatever it feeds your soul ends up kind of fueling your body, I think that comes with that shift, like when you start doing the work that you're meant to do, and again, shifting the corporate environment to kind of even the playing field more and include everybody and include everyone's strengths and everyone's skills. And, we're all kind of refining that process of what it means to evolve, I think. But I love that you have so much energy, Susan, to pursue all of your passions. And I find, and something else really struck me that I've been thinking about that you were mentioning, kind of mentioning with your religious background. And I think I don't come from a religious background. This is kind of tied into what we're talking, but I think that in some ways, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of encourages a little bit of keeping you out of your body more. And I think there's a way of when you connect more to spirituality and kind of connect to your true self and true soul, whatever that may be for you, it kind of encourages you to embody more. And I think it makes it a little easier on all levels to engage more with life and also take care of yourself physically. I don't know, have you experienced that at all? Because I know that's more your experience than mine, but that just kind of popped into my head. And I was wondering if that has any relevance in sort of the evolutionary process for you, and in terms of evolving spiritually, physically, emotionally, all of it. With the few minutes that we have.
In the few minutes that we have, I'll say that when things were being kind of thrust upon me that didn't resonate with me, that actually was not healthy for me. I mean, I can certainly remember those days, and then that led me to just reject my spiritual life. I mean, I really did go for many years where I just didn't want to think about it. And so I didn't really have a spiritual life. I just went on about, the normal activity, or what you would call normal. Actually, I think spiritual is normal, but what one might think of as the practical things in life. I was focused on my job. I was focused on parenting and just doing the things, going through my day. And it was when I had kind of that abrupt wake-up call that, hey, you can't ignore this. You need to come to terms with the big questions. No matter how much you run from them, eventually you face them. Everyone will have something at some point in their life that causes them to confront that. And that's when, for me, I sought a spiritual anchor. And yes, more and more, and again, I'm a work in progress. I think probably for me, quite honestly, my biggest challenge is making the time for incorporating it into my physical life, including really being conscious about the food that I eat, being conscious that when I go for a walk, that's like a meditation. And knowing that, in fact, that really comforted me when I realized that, because I was thinking to myself, I'm really not meditating. Everybody says you're supposed to meditate, and I'm around all these really highly spiritual people with very evolved practices, and here I am, I'm kind of inflexible, so I'm really bad at yoga, so I'm afraid of yoga. Although I've had gentle yoga teachers who've told me, you need to try it. It's not what you think, and I believe they're right. But I'll admit that until one day I realized that my walks, my simple walks with my dog in the hills of Oregon around where I live, there actually are hills, so it is a workout. I mean, when I can't leave my house without going down a steep hill, in which case I have to come back up it. So, I definitely get a cardio workout coming home and also walking in different areas. But I realized this is a meditation, and that really helped me once I saw that. And I realized, wow, I feel better. This time of year when it's raining a lot, it's a little more challenging to get out there. But I'll tell you, I just feel better. And it's a reminder to me, don't ignore that physical aspect and let it be a part of the spiritual.
I love the way you say that. It is part of the spiritual. It's all. I mean, it's that we're now realizing mind and body is the same. It's the same thing. They're both equally important. They're calling it the mind. It's body mind or mind body. It's really the mind is found throughout the body at this point. They now know, and all of these things that we do that we sometimes think we need to separate, like eating well or exercise or meditation, whether it's active meditation like you were mentioning or sitting still and meditating, it feeds our body, and it also helps us to function better, right? So we can show up better for this world. it's kind of just like, kind of keeping your house kind of feng shuied in a way. And it feels, and it's kind of like, after, that the air that comes after a waterfall, that, is it the negative ions? That's how it feels, that incredible kind of euphoric feeling that you feel around waterfalls. That's how it feels to take care of yourself. Have you noticed that?
It does.
Oh.
It does. And you know what?
Yeah.
You know it when it doesn't feel right. Like when I go and I get a Big Mac or something, or there's certain things, and if I eat that and afterwards, I tell you, I don't feel good anymore. If I overeat, if I eat too much, I know it. And lately what I've been doing for myself, because I'm trying to lose some weight, I had gained weight and then I finally stabilized. I've been really stable for a long time now, which is great. But, I want to bring it, I'm coming back down is my goal. And I know we're running out of time, so I'll try to say this fast. I know when it doesn't feel right. I know when I'm not nurturing myself the way I should. And, I start to remind myself when that happens, hey, how does this feel? It doesn't feel right. Remember that next time. Remember that. Do the healthy choice.
And like you said, just shift. Let yourself shift and just move into that new energy because it's right there. And you're right, Susan, we actually unfortunately are out of time. But I hope we can do this again. Thank you, Susan, so much, and thank you, Hugh, for calling in. And I hope everyone tunes in again to The Wellness Coach, and definitely check out Susan's show as well. So thanks again, Susan, and I'm just going to sign off here with the music, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. It was a joy to be here.
Thank you.